It's Ryan from renewedhealth.com. Hope you're well. Wanted to talk with you today about an herb that is widely misunderstood in America. The herb is one of the most potent, energizing herbs. An herb that really is strong in supporting the immune system as well. Can replace kind of a need for caffeine and unnatural stimulants throughout the course of the day. And candidly is really good for you all around and isn't very expensive. That's Astragalus. So many of you maybe have never heard of Astragalus, but Astragalus is an herb that dates back to its usage over a little over 2,000 years. And it's a root. That's exactly right. It's a root. And it grows in different parts of China. And we're going to talk a little bit about today about the Astragalus that we've chosen to carry from Dragon Herbs, from Ron Teagarden's Dragon Herbs. This is kind of an interesting extract in the fact that most of the time when you buy Astragalus in the United States, you go to a health food store and you buy strips of Astragalus that look like this, where they've taken the root and they've cut it into thin slices, and it's kind of a woody. It's very much a woody kind of herb. It's hard. It could be mistaken for a type of tree bark or something of that sort. But what Dragon Herbs has done is kind of interesting. So they have, through the recommendation of Professor Wang in China, who is the editor of the Chinese Pharmacopoeia, they were tipped off to a farm in far northeastern China, a very remote rural valley that they were tipped off to, that was growing large quantities of Astragalus in a truly organic way. So this is actually a certified organic Astragalus, which is hard to come by. And on top of that, it's concentrated in an 8-to-1 extract. So versus if you just go to if you go to the health food store of the local area and buy just the straight root itself, it's not even concentrated. It would be considered a 1-to-1. It's not an extract in any way, shape, or form. And the reality is that a lot of these herbs need to be processed and need to be cooked and need to be concentrated in a way that there can actually be enough of the active components in it to generate any level of health benefit. Okay, so an 8-to-1 extract is very, very potent. It's almost unheard of in the United States market. In some of the more discerning parts of the world, Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, affluent areas of China as well, Japan, those consumers would never buy kind of low quality, chemically grown, unconcentrated extract. It just wouldn't happen. But in America, we know most people know so little about herbs in general, and we talk about Asian herbs, and it's just the lowest of the lowest denominator gets passed here in the United States very frequently. Okay, so Astragalus. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what Astragalus is good for. So it is very much an energizing herb. As I said, I love Astragalus. If I feel like I need a boost in the day, I know I've got a stressful period of time coming up, I know I've got an athletic event or something of that sort that I'm training for, if I know I really need to have, be on my game on top of it, I don't do coffee, I don't do espresso, I don't do soft drinks, certainly don't smoke cigarettes or anything of that sort that can be stimulating. So Astragalus is a great way to kind of give yourself a little bit of an extra boost. And on top of that, a lot of folks take it in the fall and winter time to kind of boost, help to support the body's natural defenses during that season that so many of you know can run havoc amongst your family. So great on that end. I also personally took Astragalus all throughout kind of a preconception formula prior to having my children. So its energizing activities can have energizing activities in the motility of the components that actually generate pregnancy within a female. And I'm sorry I can't go into more detail here. You're going to have to research this on your own. There's limitations as to what I can say, but I personally used it during that time and found good success with that as well. So this particular formula has a full range of polysaccharides and saponins in it. Astragalus has been researched really extensively here recently in the last 5 years. Modern researchers, modern longevity researchers that are researching kind of telomeres and components that have are being studied as far as impact on aging, have found that Astragalus contains some of these components, which is really interesting. So I think we're going to learn a lot more here in upcoming years about kind of what Astragalus can do from a longevity perspective. All right, I'm going to refer to a couple notes that I've gotten written down here as well. So it's also helpful in benefiting the skin. You know, youthful skin, healthy skin is, in American culture and many cultures, kind of something that's looked at as a sign of health, a sign of vitality, a sign of youthfulness. And Astragalus is a very potent qi tonic, and the qi in the body runs through meridians, energy meridians. And usually it's on the surface of the skin. So this is not something that you can take and really get much benefit from if your reserves are so deeply drained. If the Chinese call that jing. If your jing, your primal energy, your essence, your core, your battery has been drained down so much that really nothing is going to replenish that. Astragalus isn't going to be great for that. There's better herbs. There's more deep-seated formulas, like Shu Wu formulation is fantastic. The root Hishu Wu, which is a primary component of Shu Wu formulation, is great for that. And there's other herbs as well that we would, and there's other foods that we would recommend to really kind of fortify and rebuild that energy. But as far as the spark, the qi that we're talking about, that spark, Astragalus is a phenomenal herb on that end. Okay? All right. Let's see here. So, folks, I think as far as looking at the formulas here that contain Astragalus, you're going to find very few formulas out there that are going to have the concentration, and you're going to have this source, the purity of the source, and also at a reasonable cost. So I would really encourage you to take a look at this. So one thing I will point out here, this is a picture of what Astragalus looks like in the wild. So it is it comes out. It's got a flowering little plant top, strong root that comes down. And I don't know if you can see this in this picture or not, but if you look right here, you'll see large quantities of Astragalus that are out there drying after they've been cut. So this is just the process of harvesting and letting the Astragalus dry. Now, once it's dried, as I said, you don't just grind that into a powder and consume it. It does need to be concentrated. So anyways, folks, I'm not going to go on any further. Try it. I think you'll like it. It's cheap enough that it's affordable for the vast majority of us. And when you use it, don't be afraid to kind of go, don't feel like, hey, one capsule is all I can try or whatever. Follow the recommendations on the bottle. I think you'll really like what you see. And I hope you have a great week. Thanks, folks.